I can't tell you guys how much I'm looking forward to NXT Arrival next week. NXT being live on the WWE Network on February the 27th. And the main reason for this is, ever since I started watching FCW, WWE's Developmental Territory back then, back in, I believe it was September or October 2011, and then moving on to NXT when they did the rebranding in 2012, I've been longing for there to be a little bit more recognition of this show, which I really thought was the best wrestling show, in my opinion, on TV, and the show that I always look forward to most during the week. And to be honest, I think it's a shame and a crime that not more people talk about and review NXT, which is one of the reasons why I've gone out there and really put the effort in to watch and review NXT every single week. So I am so proud, because I kind of feel like NXT is like a little baby that I'm seeing develop, and I'm seeing NXT developing into this show that is now going to be live as kind of like a pay-per-view kind of thing on the WWE Network. Essentially, you are going to be paying for it. So I can't tell you how much I am looking forward to this show. I'm going to try and watch it live, even though I'm not going to be able to get the WWE Network here in the UK. The card looks brilliant for the show, I can't tell you that. Emma versus Paige 2, Cesaro versus Sami Zayn, Bo Dallas versus Adrian Neville in a ladder match for the NXT Championship. Probably some other stuff thrown in there. Hell, they're even having a pre-show with like Paul Heyman, Bret Hart, and some other goddamn legends. Kevin Nash, I believe, is going to be there. So it should be damn good. And while I'm not able to get the WWE Network, I'd really like to watch the show live on Thursday night. I really would. So if there is any kind of stream or something that I can watch, you know, that would be great. Because I'd really like to watch it live, get the feel for what a live show is like in NXT, and get a review out and make it, you know, do a review for the first time ever of NXT live. So you get a different kind of vibe from me in a review like that. As for this show itself, if you have any comments and anything in the comment section below, as per usual, I really felt this show, much like WWE are doing with the WWE Network and their pay-per-views, I really felt this show needed to be geared towards hyping up that NXT Arrival show as much as possible. I mean, they don't usually do stuff like that. Usually they go from show to show. They don't usually have to hype to pay-per-views and stuff. But I was really hoping to see NXT do a good job of highlighting the main matches they have on that show and hyping the fuck out of them, so to speak. So let's get going. So we open up this show with Ascension versus two jobbers, and I think you can guess exactly what happened here. You don't need me to go into the specific details of the moves done in the match. You know, what I want to talk about here, though, I think the only way you can make the Ascension interesting right now, because there are no tag teams in NXT right now, apart from the Ascension, is bringing in some tag teams from WWE TV, Raw and SmackDown, or maybe a legend tag team like, I don't know, Too Cool, or the New Age Outlaws or something, and maybe have a match with them on NXT Arrival. I mean, if they're going to have more than those 3 matches and it's going to be more than an hour long, which I don't know whether it will be or not, but it could be, then what better way to highlight the Ascension than put them in a tag match with, you know, the Usos, or, you know, a tag team from the main roster, such as that, or Cody Rhodes and Goldust, for example. Because, like I said, there are none in NXT right now, and that would be the one way you could at least give them some kind of interesting match. Because going through jobber after jobber after jobber tag team really isn't making the tag champs really feel that interesting, as they have no legitimate competitors right now. One other thing, what the hell is all this ka thing the crowd is chanting all about? Have I missed something on NXT? I think it's because Conor O'Brien did it once and the crowd have just gotten into it, so to speak, so it kind of feels like they're kind of over when they're really kind of not. But that chant the crowd are doing every time that Conor O'Brien gets in the ring, it's kind of cool. I mean, even when Rick Victor, you know, is in the ring, they're all calling for Conor O'Brien to get in the ring. It's actually kind of funny, isn't it? You know, for a minute, I thought I was watching an edition of Raw or SmackDown when I saw that they were playing this Emma and Summer Rae storyline through NXT as well. So a WWE TV feud is good enough to make it to NXT. Well, that's interesting. You know, I don't understand why on SmackDown or Raw we can't have maybe a match between Emma and Summer Rae, because, you know, Emma is a damn good wrestler, but they're not really showcasing that on SmackDown or Raw yet. You know, instead of having endless matches between Santino and Fandango, and having Santino failing to kiss Emma and putting Emma, you know, in a storyline where she's going to be Santino's girl and everything like that, an odd girl, and, you know, we've had enough of that kind of storyline. Can we just see Emma wrestle like we do on a pretty week-in, week-out basis on NXT? Because she's damn good at it. I understand you might want to get her character over a little bit, and let's face it, the character is way over in NXT. It is massively over in NXT. I understand you might want to get that character over, but we need to at least be able to see her wrestle as well, and the crowd kind of need to get the gimmick, which the NXT crowd do, but maybe the casual fans do not. But anyway, as for the match itself, Pretty solid Divas action as you generally get with Emma and Summer Rae. You had the BFFs out there with Summer Rae and Bayley out there with Emma, so you're kind of continuing on this Bayley and Charlotte feud, even though they didn't really touch at all. Emma gets the win here, and you know she needs momentum when she's going to be facing Paige for the title next week on NXT Arrival. And also what I found interesting was you had that backstage segment where, you know, you had Emma saying she's going to have some things to say face-to-face, you know, next week with Paige in the middle of the ring, which is going to be the go-home show to NXT Arrival. You know, the go-home show is going to be the day before NXT Arrival, as it is taped, of course. So that should be interesting in itself next week. You know, the chemistry between Sami Zayn and Antonio Cesaro is very good, and you can really see that in these segments they're doing with each other. They just seem to bounce off each other so well. And we have this exclusive interview segment with Renee Young between Sami Zayn and Cesaro before their big match next week, which they made an effort to mention that it was going to be like 4 days after Elimination Chamber, and the rule was if either of them put their hands on each other, they'd lose their respective title shots. Sami Zayn losing his shot for the NXT Championship and Cesaro losing his shot for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. You know, basically this felt to me like, you know, it was just a different way to have these two say some of the same things they have in the past. But, you know, on a show like this, which is very wrestling heavy, these kind of segments are incredibly welcome. You know, if you see these kind of segments and a couple of promo segments on the show, it really does help break up the monotony of what is, like I said, a very wrestling-heavy show. So for that, I was very thankful. I didn't think this match could probably not even be on the next two shows and would probably still be hyped up massively. I'm very much looking forward to this match, and, you know, this kind of helped. Again, once again, they're trying to tell this story of Sami Zayn having to get through Antonio Cesaro and finally avenge his loss in the so-called Match of the Year on NXT, you know, to further himself onto his career so he can finally win that NXT Championship. This is good storytelling right here. Did anyone else kind of laugh when you had that interview with Tyler Breeze and he said he would be ashamed that Adrian Neville would be the face of NXT and would represent him? You know, I thought that was kind of hilarious. And like I said, it's really good writing in the sense that it goes with his character. You know, and it's depth to the character, which I thought was kind of good. The main event match was Tyler Breeze versus Adrian Neville, and they showed the video packages of, you know, Tyler Breeze costing Adrian Neville his shot at the title, you know, against Bo Dallas in that Lumberjack match. And they kind of built up some history between these two. And you kind of knew this was going to be one of those matches which was going to give Adrian Neville momentum going into his match with Bo Dallas at NXT Arrival, much like Summer Rae was for Emma in their match. And, you know, I just wish in these kind of matches, I know they're both quite small, but I just wish they wouldn't resort to so many high spots and kicks and stuff and just maybe try and work the crowd a little bit more and not try and do it the cheap way, as I like to call it. But anyway, Adrian Neville, the important thing is Adrian Neville gets the momentum win on his way to Bo Dallas. And really, it wasn't really too much about this match. It was really more about what happened after the match when you had Bo Dallas coming out and kind of being a condescending arsehole to Adrian Neville, saying, "You did well to get here, kid." You know, trying to be this condescending guy that thinks he's bigger than everyone else. So basically, they're trying to tell us in this segment that Bo Dallas may be just a little bit scared of Adrian Neville. You had Adrian Neville saying, "Come on, hit me, hit me, hit me." But Bo Dallas never did it and just walked outside the ring. And you know what? I'm kind of torn on this segment because on the one hand, I don't think there's any need for these two to touch. You know, it's really up to them to try and talk people into the seats, in my opinion. But on the other hand, I really wanted to see some fire and some heart in this segment for those who may not view NXT like me on a permanent basis. For those who kind of maybe view the show on and off, so it would really hype that main event well. But I guess maybe we would get that kind of segment next week, which is the go-home show, which is going to be a day before NXT Arrival. Maybe we'll get some fireworks then, which maybe we'll get some casual fans wanting to watch the show. I don't know. So like I said, I was kind of torn because I didn't think that they needed to touch each other, but I thought maybe a little bit more could have been done in this segment to get people excited for what essentially is going to be the main event of the first time ever NXT will be going live on the WWE Network 3 days after it launches on February the 24th. So like I said before, I don't really think we can judge this show on the quality of wrestling and everything. I think this was mainly down to storytelling and advancement of storylines, hyping up to the NXT Arrival show, which is going to be a big show for NXT. And this show did it. I mean, you had Emma, you know, getting a momentum win on her way to Paige and saying she'll face off with Paige next week in the ring. You also had the Adrian Neville and Bo Dallas talking it out and having that segment, hyping up their match, the Cesaro and Zayn segment, which hyped up their match. And, you know, maybe there's going to be some other odd matches put in there with the Ascension and maybe some other characters. Depends if this show goes longer than an hour. If it's just an hour long, which I I'm not sure how long it is going to be, but if it's just an hour long, you're only going to get these 3 matches. But if it's more than an hour long, they're going to have to put in matches here and there, you know, maybe with the Ascension, maybe with Aiden English, etc., you know, maybe with some other NXT characters to try and break up the matches a little bit and give the crowd a reason to, you know, catch their breath. So I'd say on this, even though this isn't the go-home show, I would say purely based on that, this was a good show heading into the go-home show, which should hopefully, you know, give us one last lift of hype before we get to this epic NXT Arrival show. And I'm not just trying to oversell this, guys. I am legitimately looking forward to this show, probably more than I'm looking forward to WrestleMania. I mean that. Like I said, NXT is kind of like my baby. You know, not many people review NXT. Not really many people seem to care about NXT. But I've always been there since the, you know, since October, September 2011, talking about the young stars in the WWE. So I've done it for a couple of years now. So, like I said, going from FCW, which was maybe done in front of 200 people, maybe, I don't know where it was held, but going to be on the WWE Network, which maybe, you know, loads of people are going to be buying, I imagine, and it's going to be a live sort of pay-per-view special. You know, that is development, in my opinion, for this NXT show, which I feel deserves it because it's the best damn wrestling show I feel on TV. And if you guys don't believe me, fucking well watch it, please, because it is damn good. Anyway, that's my passion side coming out there, ladies. But anyway, let's just finish this review. Overall thoughts, like I said, good show, in my opinion. Comment down below. See you again next week, and I'll hopefully see you again on Thursday. If not, then I'll have to do a review of the live show and put it up on Saturday like I usually do for NXT reviews. But for then, goodbye.